Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a recommendation video. My cat, Belle's constantly shaking the camera. So yeah, today I am doing a recommendation video of horror books under 200 pages because listen, if you're like me, you have ADHD, you don't like committing. Listen, I'm here for a fun time, not a commitment. Okay. Stephen King who? We don't know him. He doesn't exist. We only know books under 200 pages. So these are all novella recommendations that I have gathered up throughout the last few years of reading that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to be sharing them all with you. A lot are regular horror. I have a couple extreme horrors. So yeah. Let's just go ahead and get started. The first one being Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. This is a dystopian world where the animal meat goes poisonous and humans start being bred for consumption in factory farms. It's bleak, depressing, fucked up, and so good. So well written, so messed up, and one of my favorite books of all time. The next one is Scanlines by Todd Keisling. This is about a group of boys who think that they are watching porn, and when they put the video in, turns out it's a man killing himself, shooting himself in the head, and next thing you know, they start being picked off one by one. They start dying. And another one that's bleak and depressing, and I really enjoyed. Listen, sticking to the theme of bleak and depressing, we have Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. This is a book that is very grief horror heavy, which is the type of horror that affects me the most, as well as just like real life shit. Like things that happen in real life terrify me. And this is about this woman whose son dies, and she thinks that she starts seeing her son's ghost after she cuts herself and bleeds on his memorial site, and then she thinks she starts seeing his ghost. It's very, very depressing. Again, another bleak and depressing one. What is wrong with me? A lot. The next one is What Good Girls Do by Jonathan Butcher. This one is about this girl. This one is so messed up. It's about this girl who is living in this house where basically she's been abused her whole life. She doesn't know what her name is. She doesn't know anything but like sex terms. She's just been sexually abused her entire life by this man or this group of men, and it's very sad because she really doesn't know anything other than sexual things, and one day she escapes. What happens is a wild time. Next is Tribesmen by Adam Cesar. This is a book that is kind of paying homage to like those crazy 80s cannibalistic films like Cannibal Holocaust, and this group of like filmmakers and actors, they go to this secluded like deserted island to film one of these cannibal movies, and everything goes wrong. It is just like a gory, messed up, fun time. I was cackling a little bit at some of the things, and it gets pretty crazy. I was into it. This next one is kind of horror, kind of not. And it's 3 Days in the Pink Tower by Ev Knight. This is based on a true story based off of the author's experience with sexual abuse. So in this book we are following, you want to come up? Come up. Come here. Look who's here. Hi, Belle's here. So in this book we are following this woman who is kidnapped by these men at gunpoint and is just like repetitively sexually assaulted. It's very hard to stomach and read. It's really messed up, and it's based off of the same experience that happened to the author in real life. So it is, I would classify it as partly horror because it is like real life horror. Like, it really doesn't get more terrifying than that, you know? But it's also kind of a blend of magical realism, I would also say. But yeah, it's speculative autofiction, it says on the back. But she is basically, it has to do with this fortune teller and tarot cards, kind of how she gets out of this situation using those things. Like I said, it's magical realism, autofiction, whatever you want to call it, but it's messed up. The next one is The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. This is about this psychiatrist who is working in a mental institution, and he has this patient where everyone is terrified of going in this room and working with this patient because bad things always happen to the therapist and the people that go in this room. So like, no one wants to go in there. So he's like, I'm gonna go in there and try to work with this person. And you start slowly figuring out like what is going on with this person. And it's just like this creepy, unsettling story. I binged it all in one sitting, and it's one of just like my favorite short horror books. Next is Petrified Women by Jeremy Ray, this teeny tiny little book about this couple that like pranking each other. And one day on the guy's birthday, the girl's like, I'm gonna prank him so good. She hides in his apartment and she's getting ready to prank him, and something goes horribly wrong. It's very heavy on abuse, and it has to do with abusers and abusive relationships, and it's messed up. But it's so good. It had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Next is Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. This one is extreme horror, but it's very disgusting. Like, it's not so much gory, but it's more so just disturbing and disgusting. So we are following this girl, Lori, and she's obsessed with this serial killer. And one day she's trying to be like his main groupie. And one day he tells her that she has to go out into his cabin in the middle of the woods and retrieve this key from the cabin to give to this mysterious person known as the Riverman. So she brings her disabled, like mentally disabled sister with her, and we start learning about this family, and oh my god, what the hell? That's all I have to say. Next, of course, is Samantha Kolesnik, True Crime, one of my all-time favorite books. This is about this girl, Susie, and her brother. They murdered their abusive mom, and then they go on this road trip afterwards, and they're trying to like escape, and we're just learning about their abuse and all the fucked up things that happen after they kill their mom and they go out on this road trip. I don't want to give anything else away, but it is so crazy. Bleak, depressing madness. It's a messed up, gory, disturbing time, and I loved it. I also have her other book here, Waif. This one's not as popular as True Crime, but I still really enjoyed it. So in this one, we're following this woman, Angela, and she basically meets this guy at a grocery store that she becomes obsessed with. So she is just kind of like stalking this man and obsessing over him, and it leads her into this life of like sketchy illegal plastic surgery and porn. It's really weird. It's a really weird book, but if you just kind of like suspend your disbelief a little bit and go into this one expecting it to be weird, it's just like a fun read. I love her writing. Her writing is stunning, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was just bizarre, crazy, and different. I'm all for books being weird and bizarre if they're different, and this one's definitely different. Next is For the Sake of by Judith Sonnet, one of my all-time favorite extreme horror books. And in this one, we are following this woman who is trying to get her daughter back. Her daughter's been kidnapped, and she's been kidnapped by this group of people on the dark web that are obsessed with humiliating people, and they make her do very graphic things to try to get her daughter back. So it's like okay, you're gonna have to do this, and then we're gonna film you for the dark web if you want to get your daughter back, and then you're gonna have to do this, or you're gonna have to kill someone, or you're gonna have to do something crazy in order to win your loved one back, in this case her daughter. So it's very graphic, disturbing, fucked up, very, very triggering, but easily one of my favorite extreme horror books. It kind of like reads like a thriller a little bit. It's kind of that extreme horror vibe, so I loved it. Next is Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is basically about a man who sees this child in a grocery store screaming, and then everything gets crazy from there. If you like creepy kids, weird kids, this is just like a weird one, and I was so invested the entire time. I don't really want to say too much else. It's just about a weird kid in a grocery store. That's all you need to know. Trust me. Next is Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This, of course, is what the Hellraiser movies are inspired by, and this is about this man, Frank, right? And he basically solves this puzzle box, and he's obsessed with like pleasure and sexual experiences, and he thinks that he's experienced all the pleasure in the world, but then he solves this puzzle box which brings him into another dimension with these Cenobites. It's supposed to show you like pleasure in another dimension. Am I making sense? And of course everything goes wrong when he opens up this portal into this other dimension. You've seen Hellraiser, you know what this book is about. My next rec is Halloween Fiend by C.V. Hunt. This is about this creature named Halloween, where every night the people in this town have to leave an offering outside for this creature Halloween. So usually like they'll leave out like a guinea pig or something for him to eat. And he is just kind of constantly terrorizing this town. These people are just afraid to open their windows, open their blinds. They're afraid to leave the house after a certain time because they think that this creature is going to kill them. I had so much fun with this one. It's another one that I just binged in one sitting, and I really, really like the ending of this one. It had me gripped literally the entire time. Another extreme horror is The Slob by Aaron Burgard, and I don't know if I'm ever pronouncing his name right, but this one is about this woman who is a door-to-door vacuum saleswoman, and she goes to this person's house known as The Slob, and everything goes downhill from there. It's very graphic, disgusting, gory, violent. One of the most disgusting books I've ever read in my life. If you're looking for just gross for the sake of being gross splatterpunk, this is the one. Very triggering. Another triggering extreme horror is No One Rides for Free by Judith Sonnet. This one, we are following this woman who is dropping her I've got air in my mouth. Who is dropping her kids off at college, and on the way there, a man gets into the car with them, and all craziness happens from there. It is traumatizing, traumatic. Belle, what are you doing? Disgusting, disturbing, violent, crazy, bananas. So good. Then I have another Judith Sonnet, which is Summer Never Ends, and this one is about this group of boys that are attending church camp, and it's about church trauma and the darker side of religion, and it's messed up. There's graphic violence depicting children, so look up trigger warnings for this one, but another bleak, depressing time. I love my bleak and depressing books. And then last but not least is Dear Laura by Gemma Amor? I forget her name. But in this book, we're following this woman who her boyfriend, I think it was her boyfriend, it's been a while since I've read this one, her boyfriend goes missing. And Belle, my cat is crazy right now. Her boyfriend goes missing, and basically she starts getting these letters from this mysterious person saying, oh, well, if you want your boyfriend back, you have to give me a tooth. If you want your boyfriend back, you have to do this next, and the things get like more and more sinister as the letters go on, and you're trying to figure out who this person is and what happened to her boyfriend. And this one had potential of getting more crazy than it did, but I still enjoyed it and I still really recommend it. I would say For the Sake of by Judith Sonnet is like a much more disturbing, graphic, extreme version of this book, but if you're looking for something more toned down, go with this one. So yeah, that is it. Those are all my recommendations. Hopefully you got some recs from me. If you liked any of these books, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!